Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the benefits of eating more vegetables. So this is a virtual community program presented by Nicole Fuller. Nicole is a registered dietitian. She has been a registered dietitian for over 30 years and has been with Valley for approximately, give or take, about 10 years. Nicole wears many hats in the organization. She's been doing outpatient counseling for probably about 30 years, and she does our community programs and a host of other things. So, um, we will conclude this presentation with a moderated question and answer period. You can submit your questions. There should be a Q&A button up at the top. You can click on there and submit your questions, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So with that being said, please join me in welcoming Nicole. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you all for joining me tonight. We're going to talk all things vegetables and why people like me tell everyone I meet to eat more of them. We're going to go over, why it's important, what benefits they have, and so on and so forth. Joe kind of went over a little bit about this. I probably have to update this slide because it's, I have been a dietitian for over 25 years, so I guess that is true. I will also say I'm a graduate of the University of Connecticut, so go Huskies if anybody knows UConn out there. I'm a mom to 3 boys. You could see them here. This is an old picture. They are 18, 15, and 12 years old now. Some things I like to do other than talk about vegetables and nutrition are things like spending time with my family, traveling, spending time with friends, and I love, doing things like running, all different sorts of exercise, and reading. And if you ask my husband, he'd probably say napping too. I do enjoy a nap every once in a while. So anyhow, like I said, we're going to talk about vegetables, and I love this quote, eat food, not too much, and mostly plants. And this is from Michael Pollan. He wrote a book called In Defense of Food, which is very interesting, informative, and I believe this quote is in that. So before we really dive into why vegetables are so important, I just kind of wanted to show you some statistics. So according to a CDC analysis of data from the 2019 Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, which is quite a mouthful, only 10% of adults are getting the recommended amount of vegetables in their diet. 10%. So isn't it shocking to hear that in essence, only 1 out of 10 adults, 1 out of 10 are getting enough vegetables and fruits as well in their diet. But 1 out of 10, that is crazy to me. That means 90% of Americans are not eating the recommended amount of vegetables. Hopefully, by the end of the slide, I can change your mind and you'll all be increasing your intake of vegetables starting tomorrow. So, why do we say it is important to eat vegetables? Well, for one thing, a diet that is high in vegetables and fruits, honorable mention, as part of an overall healthy diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, which includes things like heart attack and stroke, okay? Eating a diet rich in some vegetables as well as fruits as part of an overall healthy diet may also protect against certain types of cancers. Even those 2 reasons alone should make you want to eat more vegetables, but we continue. Number 3, diets that include foods high in fiber that include some vegetables may decrease your risk of some chronic diseases, such as things like heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, for instance. Eating potassium-containing vegetables as part of a healthy diet may help lower blood pressure And further in the slides, we will talk about vegetables and potassium. Consuming foods like vegetables, which tend to be lower in calories per cup, instead of other higher calorie or higher calorically dense foods, may help actually lower calorie intake. And what happens when we eat lower calorie foods and instead of higher calorie foods cup per cup? Well, it can help with weight loss. And in general, vegetables provide us with vital nutrients for the health and maintenance of our bodies. Okay, so these are all very important reasons why we want to think about adding more vegetables to our diet. So, what are some of the other health benefits of veggies? Well, most vegetables are naturally low in fat and calories. Vegetables do not have cholesterol. I do want to say you should always keep in mind that, naturally on their own, they're low in fat and calories and have no cholesterol. But when you start adding sauces or seasonings or dressings, they can add fat, calories, and may contribute to cholesterol with the vegetables, but on their own, they are low in fat and no cholesterol. Vegetables are important sources of many nutrients, some of which include potassium, folate, vitamin A, vitamin C, fiber is a big one, and phytonutrients, just to name a few. Phytonutrients might not be a term you've heard, but we will also talk about that later in one of the slides. Now we're going to go explore some of these nutrients, the ones listed here, a little more in depth, and see how they are beneficial to us and why, we need to try and make more of a concerted effort with getting enough vegetables in our diets to get these wonderful vitamins and nutrients and minerals. So potassium. As a lot of you might have heard of the word potassium or potassium containing foods, but as far as potassium goes, this is a nutrient that may fly under the radar a little bit. People may think that we're getting enough of this important nutrient in our diet, but truth be told is that actually many of us are not getting enough potassium. And the reason for this is likely because most people are consuming more processed foods, right? Processed foods are easy, they're convenient. But these processed foods, guess what? They're higher in sodium than fresh vegetables or fresh fruit for that matter. And many of which are again, higher in sodium, whereas fresh vegetables and fruit would be higher in potassium and lower in sodium. So we're swapping the potassium for higher sodium items. Potassium is an important mineral because it plays a role in the way our heart functions. Diets that are high in potassium-rich foods and that are low in sodium may actually reduce the risk of high blood pressure as well as stroke. And some other benefits of getting enough potassium in our diet is that this mineral also helps with nerve function and helps with muscle contraction. And while there are many sources of potassium out there, some good vegetable sources I have listed here are things like potatoes, both sweet and white potatoes. And I've had people say, are white potatoes okay to eat? White potatoes are perfectly fine. Again, it's what we're adding to these things, right? We're adding sour cream or maybe some cheese sauce or baking to the potatoes. That makes it unhealthy, right? But a white potato, especially the skin, these are white or sweet, very, very healthy. Any kind of tomato is a good source of potassium. Green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, chard, mustard greens, legumes, avocados. And what are the recommendations for this? So for potassium, it's about 2,600 milligrams a day for women and about 3,400 milligrams per day for men. So folate, that was another nutrient that many vegetables have. So why do we want to eat foods, especially vegetables that contain folate? Well, for one thing, folate is needed to produce healthy red blood cells, and it's needed for healthy cell function and growth. And another very important benefit of folate is that it's been shown to reduce the risk of neural tube defects, spina bifida, and anencephaly during the fetal development. So if you're a woman of childbearing age who may become pregnant, you should make sure you're getting adequate amounts of folate in your diet or possibly supplement with folic acid. Vegetable sources of folate, otherwise known as vitamin B9, are things that I've had listed here, things like asparagus, avocado, Brussels sprouts, dark leafy green vegetables. You can see a theme here, dark green leafy vegetables, spinach, mustard greens, peas as well. So, and at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you ways or list some ways where you can kind of try and sneak some vegetables in that you may not even think of. Oftentimes I'm trying to tell people, try and have at least one dark leafy green vegetable a day if you can. And often I use spinach as an example. So now we're going to move on to vitamins A and C. So as far as vitamin A, why is it important to get this in our diets? Well, there are many reasons why, but some of the top reasons are that vitamin A has been shown to support eye health. In fact, according to the National Institutes for Health, vitamin A is critical for vision. Also, vitamin A has antioxidant properties, which we all want. The reason being is that antioxidants are substances that may protect our cells against the effects of free radicals. And just, as an aside, free radicals are molecules that may play a role in things like heart disease, cancer, as well as other chronic diseases. We don't want the free radicals in our body, so antioxidants like vitamin A can help protect against them. So some good vegetable sources of vitamin A are listed here. Again, we got those leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, broccoli, as well as things like carrots, sweet potato, pumpkin, tomatoes, red peppers. So that's vitamin A. And now on to vitamin C and the benefits of vitamin C. Well, vitamin C is also classified as an antioxidant, which again is a great thing. Keep in mind that a diet high in antioxidants may help lower our risk of heart disease and certain cancers. So you could see again why the benefits of making sure we're getting enough vegetables in our diet is crucial. It should also be said that our bodies do not produce vitamin C. So the only way we get enough is by making sure you're getting enough in your diet, which most Americans do. I should say that it is rare to have a vitamin C deficiency in the United States. Good vegetable sources of vitamin C are things listed here like red and green peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and here we go again, spinach. And we're talking specifically vegetables. I know most people think oranges and orange juice when we're talking about vitamin C, but to be honest, peppers actually contain more vitamin C than oranges. So moving on to fiber. Now, if anyone who's heard me speak before or spoken to me, I can go on and on about fiber, so I'm limiting it to I'll say 2 slides, because the next slide gives you recommendations. But there are many benefits to a diet high in fiber. It's one of the main reasons I tell people to eat more vegetables. Many people often, when they think of fiber, they're thinking, okay, relieving constipation, stool, bowel movements. And it is a good reason to add more fiber to your diet, because while it can help with that, it's not that's not just where the benefit of where fiber ends. A healthy diet that includes adequate amounts of fiber may help lower overall cholesterol and by reducing or by lowering LDL cholesterol. And why is that good? It's because LDL is what we consider the quote unquote bad cholesterol, right? So a high intake of fiber has been shown to reduce the risk of some diseases like heart disease. Obviously, if we're lowering cholesterol, such as bad cholesterol, it would be associated with lowering the risk of heart disease. For people who are diabetic or struggle with glucose intolerance, fiber can help slow the absorption of sugar or carbohydrates and can help improve blood sugar levels. And a diet high in fiber may actually reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes for those that are not diabetic. A diet, if I haven't, sometimes I forget, did I mention this already? A diet high in fiber may also help lower the risk of certain types of cancers. We already mentioned how fiber can help with constipation. So just a reminder, a diet with more fiber can help in decreasing your chances of becoming constipated. It's also worth noting that when you eat foods that are high in fiber, you tend to feel fuller longer because it takes longer to digest. So you're likely to eat less because you're feeling fuller longer, and because of this, you'll feel more satisfied for a longer period of time. High fiber foods tend to be also lower in calories, which may help with maintaining weight as well as weight loss. Some good vegetable sources of fiber include, but definitely are not limited to, and I have it listed here and with examples of how many approximate grams of fiber per serving. But you could see here green peas, 1 cup alone, 9 grams of fiber. Broccoli, 1 cup, has about 5 grams. A potato with the skin, 1 medium, 4 grams of fiber. You could see Brussels sprouts, 6 grams per cup. Spinach, 1 cup of cooked is 5 grams. Avocado, a half a cup is 5 grams. Now, this might not make sense to you, the grams of fiber here, but if you look at this list here, this is fiber recommendations for adults. And if you look at other sources, you may see different numbers. This was taken from the Mayo Clinic website. So as far as the recommended amount of fiber one should be consuming, so again, according to the Mayo Clinic for adults, it's recommended men 50 years or younger should be getting around 38 grams of fiber. Well, if you're 51 and older and male, it should be around 30 grams. Women 50 and younger, around 25 grams per day, and 51 and older, for if you're a woman, around 21 grams per day. Again, it may vary depending on, age, and weight and height and things like that, but this is a guideline. Now we're going to move on to phytonutrients. Phytonutrients, you may also hear it called phytochemicals. It's a broad name for a variety of compounds. Now, there's no test on this at the end. I'm just kind of going to go over it briefly. So it's a broad name for a variety of compounds that plants produce, vegetables being plants, right? They're not only found in vegetables, but they're found in fruits, beans, nuts, seeds, and grains. But each phytonutrient comes from a variety of different plant sources and has different possible benefits for the body. Researchers think that there may be up to 10,000 phytonutrients, okay? And although there are up to 10,000, there are very few that have been studied closely. So we don't even know all of the benefits that these phytonutrients have, right? Research is showing that some benefits of phytonutrients could include antioxidant effects, anti-inflammatory benefits, may help strengthen our immunity, repairing damaged DNA, detoxifying carcinogens, which are cancer-causing substances. The thing is that according to Harvard Health, we are still learning about phytonutrients, and the science about them is ongoing. but they might even help fight things or lower our risk for certain types of cancers as well as heart disease. And remember, they are contained in things like vegetables. I've gone ahead and listed some common names of some phytonutrients on the next slide, and some of them you may have heard of before. Oh, actually, it's it's this slide. Okay, so I must have mixed up the slide. So here you could see, well, actually, we'll go back. I'll do this slide first. So this is the term eat the rainbow. You might have heard people say it before. I know myself, I've said it many times. And the reason many health experts say this, it's because of phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are part of what give plants their beautiful colors. And as mentioned before, they might be a part of what can help protect us from chronic diseases. So it's important to try and get a variety of different vegetables in different colors because each color provides different health benefits. And no one color is better than the other. So that's why we want you to eat a variety of vegetables in color as well as fruit. So this slide kind of just shows you examples of vegetables in different colors. It's kind of hard to find blue vegetables. They're sort of classified as blue purple as far as benefits. So this just gives you an example of some of the different vegetables and in the different colors. So here we go. So what exactly are some of the health benefits related to the color of the vegetables? When you eat a red vegetable, you might have heard the term lycopene. So think tomatoes, red peppers, radishes. Lycopene is a powerful antioxidant, and the proposed benefits of lycopene are protecting against certain types of cancer, as well as for benefits for heart health. And like I said, some red vegetables, there's many more, but some are tomatoes, red peppers, and radishes. So now when we're going to move on to orange, when you're eating orange and yellow vegetables, you can think of something called beta-carotene or beta-cryptozanthin, which is a strong antioxidant that may have anti-cancer benefits, may help in preventing heart disease. Some of those vegetables are things like carrots, orange and yellow peppers, sweet potatoes, corn, yellow squash. You could see them listed here. And again, this is not a full list. This is a small list. Now, as far as green vegetables and phytonutrients, that would be something called lutein. Lutein has been shown to benefit eye health, as well as benefiting certain types of cancers and heart health. Tons of green vegetables. So this is a very small list, but again, here we go with our, dark green leafy vegetables like spinach, broccoli, and kale. But we also have cucumbers, peas, green beans, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. I mean, I can go on and on. And last but not least, when it comes to purple vegetables, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, anthocyanins. That's the phytonutrient. The health benefits which are against heart disease and again, certain types of cancers. Aren't a ton of purple vegetables, but think things like eggplants, purple cabbage. Those are two. And again, there's possibly 10,000 or more phytonutrients. So this is a very small list, but you could see the benefits that we discussed: heart disease, reducing your risk of cancer. So daily vegetable recommendations. Here is where you can see if you match up. Okay, so as for how many vegetables you should be eating per day, well, it depends on a few things. Age, gender, height, weight, example. If you want to get a more specific idea for you personally, I always recommend people can check out the website myplate.gov. It's the USDA's website. Again, that is myplate.gov. You can enter in a few parameters and it'll give you an idea about how many cups of vegetables you should be having daily. But this chart gives you a rough estimate, more or less, based on age and gender. It should be said that 1 cup of raw or cooked vegetables generally counts as 1 cup, or like a half a cup of cooked vegetables counts as 1 cup. But 2 cups of raw leafy green salad greens counts as 1 cup. Again, you can visit my plate for a full expanded version of what constitutes 1 cup, or what is 1 cup equivalent of vegetables. Again, here you can see it's myplate.gov, but this is sort of gives you an idea of what your plate should look like. I know most people are not eating vegetables at breakfast, so I generally say, have fruit at breakfast, maybe have a fruit as a snack during the day, and then half of your plate at lunch and dinner should be vegetables. Or if you do eat vegetables at breakfast, then you can kind of, create your plate more like this. So how are we going to get some more vegetables in your diet? So this is a way I can go over some ways to add more vegetables. There are probably some ideas that I'll mention that you may already be doing, but I'm guessing there are many ways to add more veggies to your diet that you didn't even think of. So breakfast ideas. This is, again, most people are not thinking vegetables at breakfast, but if you're doing a smoothie or a protein shake or something like that, adding spinach, it's a great way. It does not change the flavor. It'll change the color green, I'm not going to lie, but it won't change the flavor. If you're doing scrambled eggs or scrambled egg whites, adding some kale to your omelet, or spinach, or you could do peppers, onions, mushrooms, you could do tomatoes. There's so many vegetables you can add to eggs. Adding leftover vegetables to your eggs, like if you have, vegetables from the night before, add it. Have a side of vegetables instead of fruit. There are no rules. You can eat vegetables at breakfast. What about having avocado toast? That's another way. Snack ideas. Snacks can be vegetables, believe it or not. We don't have to, go to the pantry to grab a snack. We can do, any kind of crunchy vegetable like that you like, with maybe some low-fat dressing instead of chips. Peppers, carrots, celery, sugar snaps, peas, cucumber slices. There are any which way you like it, raw, cooked. To me, it doesn't matter. Just try and think of ways to get your vegetables in. How about some carrots and hummus, or maybe some celery and guacamole, or some cucumber sticks with some your favorite nut butter? Okay. Now, here are some ways, other ways you can add to your meals. If you're having a sandwich at lunch, most people are thinking tomato and slice of tomato and maybe some iceberg lettuce. What about adding some other greens, maybe some arugula or spinach, or adding avocado? Making a salad, but really thinking about ways or other vegetables you can have: radishes, avocado, red onion, beets, squash, any leftover vegetables that you have from the night before. You can go ahead and add it to salad. Having a veggie wrap instead of eating, having a protein, like chicken or some kind of meat in a wrap. Adding vegetables to a grilled cheese, for instance. Making a pizza and putting vegetables on it. Veggie kebabs. This is another great way that you can add more vegetables. Make a big, do a sheet pan, put some aluminum foil down, cut up some vegetables, drizzle olive oil, some seasoning, and roast the vegetables. You can have it for the next couple of days and have it for lunch. So these are just some ideas. I also like to mention Meatless Monday. So if you're interested in delving into adding more vegetables to your diet and you need some other ideas other than the ones I just mentioned, I highly recommend checking out Meatless Monday, which started from the Monday campaigns. The Monday campaigns is a public health initiative that works with several universities that advocate behavior change by dedicating every Monday to health. And one of those Mondays just happens to be called Meatless Monday. So by starting off each week with Meatless Monday, tries to encourage people to eat more vegetables, and as well as more plant-based in general. It's trying to get you to, add more plant-based foods to your diet throughout the rest of the week. So you can go to meatlessmonday.com and learn more about that and get more ideas. So For our last slide, I kind of just want to wrap things up and go over why it is that we should eat more vegetables. Well, for one thing, they're packed with vitamins and minerals, some of which we, went over: potassium, vitamin C, vitamin A, folate, loaded with fiber, again, which I can talk almost 45 minutes on fiber alone. We know fiber helps smooth things along in our gut. It's good for heart health. Their vegetables are also lower in fat, generally lower in fat, lowering calories, and have no cholesterol. Can help keep us feeling fuller longer, which is great for people who are trying to lose weight or just maintain their weight. This is not comparing apples to apples, obviously. This is like not at all, but 1 cup of raw vegetables, in general speaking, has about 25 calories. 1 tablespoon of like oil or butter has 100 calories. So you can have 4 cups of vegetables and it'll equal about 100 calories, or you can have 1 tablespoon of butter and it'll be 100 calories. Again, that just gives you a visualization. And believe it or not, vegetables can be easy and convenient. Think about baby carrots, cherry tomatoes, celery sticks. Just, cutting up vegetables, keeping them in the fridge where they're readily available, easy to eat, easy to, have them in a container, easy to be seen to remind you that they're there. They have those phytochemicals that we talked about, which have so many health benefits. Phytochemicals or phytonutrients, it's why it's important to have a variety of vegetables in our diet, so that we can help, make sure that we're getting the abundance of the phytonutrients to help lower our risk of certain things like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancer, help with weight loss and maintenance. I hope this presentation answered some of your questions about vegetables and why they're so important to make sure we're getting them in our diet. And hopefully you're not, after this, you won't be a part of the 90% percenters anymore. You'll be part of the 10% of people that are getting in the recommended serving. And again, if you want to learn more, to get more personal recommendations, you can go to myplate.gov and Meatless Monday. And now I'll open it up to questions. And just to let you know that Valley does offer personalized one-on-one nutrition counseling. It's at our Luckow Pavilion location, which is across the street from the new hospital. The program is Recipe for Life, and I put the phone number here if you feel like you need an appointment with a dietitian, just a one-on-one appointment. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Nicole. Great presentation. A lot to learn about vegetables. So we are on a 20-second delay, so we will give some time to see if any questions pop up. At this time, we don't have any questions. So we'll give it a minute or so to see if you guys have any questions. If there's no questions, that means Nicole did such an awesome job. She answered all your questions. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so I would like to say thank you, Nicole. Thank you to the attendees for joining us. If you do come up with any questions, you can feel free to text them to the number where you registered for the program, or you can call the number that Nicole gave you guys for Recipe for Life, and we'll be more than happy to get those questions over to Nicole so she can answer them for you. With that being said, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.